my name is Jen from Smarty Pants Finance, and welcome. Thank you for joining me on this live stream, or if you're watching later, I appreciate you being here. So I have been coming on Facebook Live every week to do a little bit of mystery shopping training. I think we've been doing this for 2 months, which is pretty awesome. And so all of the other videos, if you're just jumping in here for the first time, all of the videos are on Facebook, on the Facebook page, or on YouTube. You can watch all of them. They're about 20 minutes long, 25 minutes long or so. And so I wanted to come on here today, and what we're going to talk about is record keeping, because record keeping is a super important part of mystery shopping. Because, you know, you're working, you're getting paid, you're getting reimbursed, and you want to be able to track all of that in an organized way so that you get everything coming to you as far as payments, and also it helps at the end of the year for taxes as well. So I have been mystery shopping since 2004. And I've made thousands of dollars a year consistently. Every year I've gotten thousands and thousands of dollars worth of free reimbursed things. And I'm continuing to mystery shop even now. And especially now that some stores and restaurants and things are opening, this is a really great time to jump in if you're a first time shopper. So what I wanted to do is talk about all the record keeping stuff. And basically, you just have to come up with a system that works best for you. But I'm going to show you my systems, tell you what I do, and you can totally adopt my ideas and use what I do, or you can make up your own system or kind of tweak mine. But really, you want to keep track of things so that you know what you're earning and what you're spending, and everything is very clear to you. And when you're getting paid, that you can track everything. So the very first part of record keeping that's important is to have a calendar that you use for your mystery shopping assignments. Even if you just have one assignment, put it on a calendar. I love Google Documents and Google Drive and Google Mail, Gmail, and I love their calendar system because I can put something in my phone, use my phone calendar, the Google Calendar, and put it in my phone, and then also be able to see it on my laptop, and vice versa. So it's a really great way to, if you're out and about, you can see your calendar, and if you're home, you can see it as well. And Google also has an option for categories for each part of your calendar, and you can color code it. So for all of my mystery shopping jobs, I color code it. I put it under this mystery shopping category, and it's red. So anytime I look at my calendar, either on my computer or on my phone, anything that shows up in red is a mystery shopping job. And then I can kind of see, wow, okay, I've got like 7 mystery shopping assignments already lined up for one day. Maybe I shouldn't take more. Or I can look and say, wow, I don't have anything lined up for next week, and maybe I need to be a little bit more aggressive about getting jobs. So it's a really great way. You can use a paper calendar. I have a coworker who still uses a paper like planner for her job. And you just have to pick something that works for you. Like paper wouldn't work for me, but digital calendar might not work for you. So just pick something and stick with it. And it's really important to keep the calendar, not just for to remember what you're going to do today or tomorrow, but also down the road. Sometimes it's really important to be able to reference back and find an assignment you maybe did a couple of months ago. So when you're tracking your payments, you can connect the payment with that specific job. And sometimes knowing the exact day you did it is really helpful, especially if there's an issue or a question that comes up. So that's the first thing. Now, the next thing I do is I keep a spreadsheet. So the old way of keeping track, I wish I had the actual documents, but I used to use a legal pad, and it's a really, well, for me, it was not the best way. I would actually write down the name of each assignment, the date, the mystery shopping company, how much I got paid, all of that. When I go do the job, I then cross it off my list because it was done. And then when I got paid, I wrote paid at the end of each line. So it actually wasn't a terrible system because I could see everything in one place, except over the course of the year, I would have page after page after page of all of these mystery shopping assignments to keep track of. It really became a problem at the end of the year when I was filing my taxes, and I literally had to go shop by shop with a calculator and add the whole thing up. And sometimes I'd make a mistake, and then I'd have to start from the beginning. So because it wasn't the best system, I switched to using a spreadsheet. And the advantage of a spreadsheet is that A lot of times it'll add things up for you. It keeps things really clean and organized. Sometimes on this, when I was using the legal pad, I actually couldn't even read my own writing. So when you're using a spreadsheet and you're typing things in, it's just a lot better, I think. So I've moved over to that. So I'm gonna tell you what things I keep track of on the spreadsheet. Some people keep track of more than what I do. Some people keep track of less, but these are the basic things I think you should be writing down so that all of your records are in order. And so the first thing I do is I write down the day I'm going to do the job. So like if I have an assignment on July 3rd, I have a separate spreadsheet for each month. So July 3rd, it'll say it'll say the date, and then it'll say where the assignment is. So let's say it's at Baskin Robbins. I don't write just the client name, but I write the location, because if I do a Baskin Robbins in Long Beach, and then I do a Baskin Robbins in Palm Springs, and then I do a Baskin Robbins in Los Angeles, it's really good to be able to differentiate between the three, because when you get paid, you might get paid for one, and then you might get paid for the other a little later. And so being able to tell which assignment was which location is really helpful if you're doing multiple locations for the same client. The next thing I write, so I have the date, I have the location, and then I write the mystery shopping company down. So that's another column. It's really important. It kind of gives you an idea of how much you're working for certain companies, but it also helps so that when you're tracking your payments at the end of the month or the end of the next month, if you're kind of thinking, gosh, I don't know if I got paid for that, you know which company was supposed to pay you, and you can follow it a little better. So I always write down the mystery shopping company. The next thing I write down is the fee. So the amount of money I am supposed to be paid to do the job. So in mystery shopping, the fee is what you're given to just do the work, to do the report. The reimbursement is the amount that you're going to be able to spend and then have reimbursed back to you. So I keep the fee and the reimbursement separate. So I have a fee column, might be $10 fee, and then I have a reimbursement column, maybe it's $50 reimbursement. So I keep those separate. Now, when you get paid by the mystery shopping company, almost always it's combined. So you kind of have to figure out which was your pay and which was your fee and which was your reimbursement. But when you've already separated it, it makes it really easy to tell which is which. The next thing I write down is actually how much I spent. So I have my reimbursement column, but sometimes what I spend is over or under what the reimbursement was. So let's say, the reimbursement amount was $100 to go out for dinner, but maybe I spend $98.75. Well, the mystery shopping company is only going to reimburse me what I actually spent. So I write down what I spend on my spreadsheet so that when I get paid, I can line up the amount that they reimbursed me with the amount that I was on my receipt. And that's really important, because you don't want to, email the mystery shopping company and say, hey, it was supposed to be $100, and then they have to go back and find your receipt and look, and you can cause a lot of confusion. So if you write down what you spent, then you know exactly how much is owed to you. The next column of things I keep track of is my overage. That's what I call it, overage. So every time I have an assignment where I can spend money, I keep track of if I'm spending more money, so that for a couple of reasons. One, I want to make sure that at the end of the month of mystery shopping that I am not spending too much to do shopping. So let's say I'm only going to make, let's say I'm supposed to make $5 and spend $10 on an assignment. If I spend $15 and then the next assignment I go a little over and I go a little over and over, then at the end of the month, I may have actually spent hundreds of dollars to be a mystery shopper. And the goal is to be making money as you mystery shop, not to be spending it. So I keep track of what I go over for my own self. But also there are a few assignments here and there. It doesn't happen a lot, but some assignments where you're not reimbursed the full amount you have to spend. Most of the time you are, but I've done a couple where they want you to spend a little more than they reimburse. So the extra I have to spend, if it's part of the job requirement, I treat that as a business expense. So that's only if it actually is a legitimate thing that I think they should have reimbursed me, but they didn't. I would not do that for something like, let's say you're going to be reimbursed, like last week I did an assignment, I was going to be reimbursed $100 for to buy a handbag. I actually bought 2 handbags because I found 2 that were on sale. If I spent $150 on the handbags, I wouldn't I wouldn't call that extra 50 a business expense because it would be more like my own personal expense. I went over just because I wanted to. So I only use the overage if it's actually something that was required for me to pay for and I was not reimbursed. Okay, so the next column is to keep track of your mileage. So this is really important. As a self-employed independent contractor, someone doing business for yourself, which is what you are as a mystery shopper, you can write off business expenses, and one of them is mileage. And it can add up to lots of money at the end of the year. Even if you're not driving far distances, just each little trip here and there can add up to a lot. So on my spreadsheet, I keep track of the mileage. Now, there are different ways to keep track of mileage, and the IRS has some rules. I was researching over the weekend, and the rules are a little contradictory, it seems, on the IRS website. So I encourage you to go to irs.gov, check it out for yourself. And I am not giving you tax information or advice. I don't want to hear from the IRS that I was saying things I shouldn't say because I'm not a tax professional. But there are different ways to do it. Some people think you should check your odometer reading at every single trip. Check it at the beginning of the trip and check it at the end of the trip and write it down, and then also put in the miles that you drove. Some people, including the IRS, say you can check your odometer at the beginning of the year, like January 1st, and then check it again at the end of the year, December 31st. Keep track of that, and then each trip, just keep track of the miles you drive. I would just say go look at the IRS website for yourself. There are notebooks you could get like Staples where it's a mileage log you keep in your car. I have kept it on my spreadsheet. I also just put an app on my phone, and I'm going to try it out. And if I like it, I'll share it with everyone. But it's supposed to ask me when I get in my car, is this a trip for business? And if I say yes, it'll calculate the miles for me, which is kind of fun. But I haven't had the chance to use it yet. The rule that I am sure of, that the IRS wants you to keep these records as you go. So you shouldn't, like at the end of the year, just try to calculate all the miles. They're also not supposed to be personal miles. So if I drive to the mall and do a mystery shopping assignment, and then I drive back home, I can write off those miles. If I drive to the mall and then I go to a friend's house and then I come home, I'm not supposed to write off the miles between the mall and my friend's house because that was personal. So you really want to be careful. I mean, when you submit your taxes, all you have to do is put in the number of miles and then multiply it by, I think it's 57.5 cents per mile. And you give an amount, but if you get audited, God forbid, then the IRS wants to see how you tracked your mileage. And if you have nothing to show for it, then they'll just say you can't deduct it. And it can amount to a lot of money. So you just want to keep really good records, and do as much as you're comfortable with. Maybe, like that saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. The better records you keep, the IRS can't argue with it as easily. So definitely do something though with your miles. Like don't just shop without writing off your mileage. The next thing I keep track of on the spreadsheet is if I get paid. Some mystery shopping companies pay you like within a week. Others pay within 45 days, maybe 60 days. So if you don't keep track of it, you're going to wonder, did I get paid for that assignment I did in May? Like right now, it's the end of June. So I'm looking at my May spreadsheet. And if I've been paid for every job, then I'm good. I can kind of like put that to the side. But if there are jobs that I haven't been paid for, I'm going to keep going back to the spreadsheet, monitoring the payments. You get payments through mail, PayPal, direct deposit. So as they come in, go to your spreadsheet and mark off that you got paid, and then there's no question. One of the mistakes I make sometimes is I get PayPal payments, but I don't go check it. I don't look at it. I just know it's in there. And then a few weeks later, I do a whole bunch at one time, and it gets kind of confusing because then I might have payments from April and payments from May and payments from June. And so it's better to just keep doing it maybe once a week. Like pick Friday as your payday, your pay yay, and go into your PayPal account or look at your checks and kind of account for everything, and then do that once a week so you could keep up with it. The next column on my spreadsheet that I have is my notes column. So sometimes there's a special circumstance with a job and you want to keep a note for yourself, really, so you remember why a certain thing is a certain way. So for instance, several months ago, I had an assignment it was going to pay, I think, $20 to go to a restaurant. And then they offered me a bonus because it was a pretty far drive. It was out in Palm Springs in the desert, and it was really beautiful. And I was so happy I went, but it was a little extra work to do it. So they offered me a bonus. So in the notes, I wrote down $20 fee plus $10 bonus. That way I could know when I got paid why it was $30, or if I only got paid the $20, I'd know that they were supposed to add the bonus and they forgot. Now, most of the time, mystery shopping companies don't make mistakes with payments, but it's people on the other end. Clerical errors happen. So you just want to keep good notes for yourself in case. And with that particular assignment, sure enough, they did forget to add the bonus. So when I didn't get it, I looked back at my notes because I thought it was supposed to be more, and then I could see exactly what it was. The other thing you want to keep in circumstances like that is emails. So if you and a scheduler email back about maybe you have to redo an assignment, or maybe you're supposed to get a bonus, or you're asking for a bonus, keep those emails, because if you get paid and you didn't get paid what you were supposed to, they're going to ask, well, why do you think it's, why are you saying it's supposed to be more? And you can say, oh, because I got this email from Stacy. She said she's giving me a bonus. And then it usually, it'll get fixed, but you have to keep some kind of documentation. It'll help you if you do have a problem. Okay, so the next thing is taxes. And again, I am not a tax professional. I don't want the IRS emailing me and saying, hey, you shouldn't be saying any of this stuff. So I'm just going to give you very basic tax advice, or tax information, not advice. And but it is very important to keep track of your mystery shopping income because it is taxable. Now, there are a couple of circumstances where you don't have to report it if your income is really, really low. But if you have a regular job, like a full-time job, and you're making mystery shopping income, it's pretty, check on the IRS website. There are some calculators to figure out if you need to file. But if you're supposed to file, definitely do. You do not want to mystery shop and kind of keep it under the table, because for the mystery shopping companies, they're not paying you under the table. They're doing everything on the up and up with the IRS themselves. So you need to make sure you do your part on your end. So one thing that's super important is when you do your taxes for mystery shopping, you only pay taxes on the fee part of your assignments. So what you get paid to do the report is taxable. The reimbursements are not taxable. So if you only do reimbursement assignments, which that would be kind of hard to only do reimbursements, but if you did, you wouldn't have to file taxes for your income because there was no income. You only got reimbursements. But if you're making money, you definitely have to file that as income. Now, any company that you do more than $600 worth of work, 600 or more, you will get a 1099 at the end of the year. That kind of makes it easy because then you can, they've added it up for you. I mean, you want to double check it. That only includes your fees also, because that's all you have to report to the IRS is your fees. But most companies, you will not get a 1099 because you don't do enough work in the year to get 1099s from everyone, because most of your mystery shopping work is spread out over many companies. And so the 1099 is only generated if you make more than 600 or more. But you definitely have to, for sure, file if you get one of those. You can't get away from it at that point, because now the IRS knows that you've been sent that. So my advice is just do it on the up and up. I mean, no one really loves paying taxes, but it is better to do it the right way than to try to hide it, because anything you hide could end up catching up to you later, and the IRS has a lot of power. So just do your taxes, do everything the ethical and legal way, and you'll be fine. So when you are doing your taxes, you can write off business expenses. So again, go to the IRS website, look at what they consider business expenses, but the mileage, if you have a home office, if you buy paper and printer ink, your cell phone might be part of that, might be able to be written off as a business expense. But every little bit you can count as an expense helps your tax what you're responsible for to go down. So keep track of that. Definitely keep receipts for things like that. You don't want to just guess what you're spending on your business expenses, because again, if you get audited, you just want to show the IRS really clean records, and then they'll say everything looks fine and they'll go away. Okay, as far as actual paperwork and stuff to keep. So some people recommend keeping your receipts for 3 to 7 years, which sounds like a long time. I keep my receipts at least a year or two. A lot of my receipts are digitized, so even if I don't keep the paper copy, I have it in my computer. So definitely consider how long you want to keep things. I think the IRS can audit you for several years after you file taxes. So just because you file taxes doesn't mean you're off the hook. You know, you want to keep good records just in case, because they can come back to haunt you later. As far as your shop paperwork, the mystery shopping paperwork, I keep that at least until I get paid, and probably a little longer. And one time last year, I had an assignment. I did the assignment, the report was accepted, I got paid, and then several months later, they emailed me a question about the actual job. And I didn't really remember what the answer was, but I had my notes. So I went right back to my notes because I had kept my paperwork, and I could answer without having to just use my memory. I could actually give them the answer that they were looking for based on something I saw at the hotel. It was a hotel job. So you want to make sure that you are definitely keeping stuff a little longer than maybe you want to. I have file folders. I just keep everything in one little place, and I try to keep it organized so it's not a mess. But you don't want to get in that position where someone asks you for something and you threw things out too quickly and then you can't produce it or prove it. And that brings me to one thought about hotel jobs. So I've done a lot of hotel assignments in other countries, and the currency conversion can be very confusing. I've done jobs in Indonesia and in Europe, and used different currencies in the different countries. Like one we used the pound in England, but we used the euro when we were in Germany. So keep really good records of things like that. Even, you know, maybe write down the conversion rate at the time you were there. So if you're getting reimbursed for hotel expenses, you know what you're supposed to get reimbursed in US dollars. Definitely keep receipts from the hotel stays, because there's a lot of money on the line with hotels. You know, you have bar visits, and, you know, I've done hotel stays where I've gone from hotel to hotel to hotel, and I keep everything because I don't want to have any issue with, you know, getting reimbursed or having the charges reversed. I want to make sure everything's on the up and up, because it's thousands of dollars. You know, it means a lot. It means a lot when it's a $10 assignment, but it definitely means a lot when it's thousands. The other thing is to, like I said earlier, just keep scheduler emails for things that are important. So just regular scheduler emails you don't need to keep. But if you had a conversation with a scheduler about something, definitely keep that. Make sure everything's taken care of before you start deleting those emails, so that you can just communicate clearly. It's a lot better when you have to ask a mystery shopping company about a payment that maybe got delayed, or maybe the check got lost in the mail. It's a lot better when you can actually say why you're asking for this specific thing and you can explain it. If you're just kind of saying, well, I think I was supposed to be paid more, that's hard for them to respond to because you're not giving them details. Okay, so I think that is it for the record keeping. You know, basically just have your own system that works. If your system doesn't work, change it, make something else, you know, create a new system, like I did. You know, I moved from the legal pad to my computer, which has been so much better. I don't know if I mentioned this, but when you do the spreadsheet, you can click on the column and it'll add up all the numbers in that column for you. So like you can add up all your miles in just one click. It'll add up all your fees in one click. You can see how much you're being reimbursed in one click. It just puts the total at the bottom. So it's super helpful. So you don't even have to use a calculator. It's really awesome. So if we don't have any questions, I see Marcy's watching from Vermont. Hi, Marcy. If we don't have any questions, then that is it for today. I have a template that I'm going to give away. So it's the template I use, and I put it into a Google Sheets version and an Excel doc. And so if you go to my website, smartypantsfinance.com, and you sign up for my email list, I'll have your email, and then I can email you the already on my email list. I'm going to email it to everyone who's currently on the list, and then I'll start sending it as people sign up. So you can go do that today. I'll be giving that out for the next couple of weeks or so. And I think that is it. Oh, thank you for your advice and sharing your knowledge. Thank you, Marcy. I appreciate that. So if we don't have any questions or anything, I hope everyone has a great Monday, and I'll be back here next Monday. I think it'll be July 6th, and we'll have a new topic with mystery shopping. Please share the videos with someone you know that should get into mystery shopping. Maybe they need a side hustle, or you thought that they'd always be good at it. You know, share these videos. They can go through all of them, you know, in a few hours, and then they can really hit the ground running shopping and not making mistakes. You don't want to make mistakes when you're mystery shopping. You want to do it right from the get-go so you can get out there and get more jobs, make more money, and have more fun. So with that, we will end, and I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you.